Ghost stories, demonic possessions, and the supernatural are often pinned to fiction. We confine the frightening horrors of these events to movies and folklore, ignoring the very real instances that have been prevalent in the past and continue into the present. The frightening reality is that there are more reports of demonic possession, hauntings, and ghost tales now than ever before. So today, here at Unexplained Mysteries, we'll be taking a look at 3 haunting stories and locations. Dr. Gallagher and demonic possession. Psychiatrist Dr. Richard Gallagher offers a view on demonic possession far from the usual narrative science offers us. Gallagher studied at Yale University, on a linear career path studying medicine, a man of science who believes wholeheartedly in demonic possession. The doctor is well educated, to say the least, with an Ivy League past and teaching now at both Columbia University and New York Medical College, so it isn't a lack of faith in science that has contributed to his belief that demonic possession is real. Before embracing the ideas of possession and exorcism, Gallagher dismissed accounts of demonic possession, such as biblical recounts of specific events, as early attempts to explain disorders that we had little medical information surrounding, such as epilepsy. Today, Gallagher tells quite a different story, believing he has encountered more cases of possession than any other physician, and building a reputation as a consultant on various instances of demonic possession. Throughout the United States, Gallagher has become the go-to person when an exorcism is needed, distinguishing between mentally ill patients and genuine victims of demonic possession. Some of the evidence Gallagher has seen firsthand that these possessions are, as he calls them, the real thing, includes the victim having an unexplainable knowledge of people or secrets that they simply shouldn't be able to know, seeing sacred items fly off of shelves and having their sudden ability to speak in perfect Latin, what some would call an archaic and extinct language. Colleagues of Gallagher's described the tone in which he talks about possession to be dry, clinical, and matter of fact. The straight-laced attitude only strengthens the serious approach Gallagher has to these exorcisms. They aren't a scene from a horror movie. This is real life. Critics describe these Latin-speaking victims and other alleged demonic happenings that Gallagher claims to have seen as nothing more than cheap parlor tricks conducted by people in need of therapy. Gallagher's rebuttal is rooted in the personal experiences and first-hand witnessing of possessed individuals. One notable event includes the demonic possession of a woman in a chapel. As many iconic films would have you believe, nuns and priests surrounded the woman, praying in an attempt to remove the demonic spirit. The woman demonstrated some odd behaviors, supporting the idea that she was possessed, including appearing to fall into a trance and speak in multiple voices, one being a deep masculine voice, one a high-pitched tone, and the final voice speaking solely in fluent Latin. The voices would speak in third person, at one point exclaiming, "Leave her alone, priests," shortly being followed by, "Stop, you'll be sorry." The defining, most stereotypical aspect of this possession was an aversion to holy water. When the victim was sprinkled with standard ordinary water, she had no reaction. But when the same process was repeated with holy water, the victim screamed in pain. The Catholic scientist did not always believe in demonic possessions, but Dr. Gallagher insists that science and religion have a place side by side, and that the scientific method can provide answers so long as you follow the facts regardless as to where they're leading you. What does the Vatican say about demonic possession? Within many circles, not exclusively the Vatican, but certainly including it, exorcism, possessions, and discourse surrounding demons remains controversial, and part of this reluctance to discuss these events stem from the popular culture horror films depicting such evil possessions. These films have not only distorted and, in the eyes of some, mocked demonic possession, but led to a significant increase in the number of claims of supposed victims stating that they had been possessed by a demon. The Catholic Church allows exorcisms to be used when they believe that the individual has fallen victim to a demon. Roman Catholicism views the rite of exorcism as a sacramental, remaining distinct from a sacrament. To employ an exorcism, there must be authorization from a valid church or church authority, and those conducting the exorcism must be of Catholic faith. The rite of exorcism was updated by the Catholic Church in the January of 1999, from the 1614 First Official Guidelines for Exorcism. Exorcists are permitted to perform the ritual in the traditional Latin, though as of 1999, the Vatican and other Catholic institutions act upon the assumption that a victim of demonic possession still maintains their free will. The demon may be physically in control of the individual, but their mental faculties remain intact throughout the experience. This means that prayers and blessings can aid and assist in freeing the victim. The canon law of the Catholic Church has measures in place in order to distinguish the possessed from the confused. Before an exorcism can take place, extensive medical and psychiatric measures have to be undertaken to evaluate the possibility of a mental illness. After that, the ritual may be performed by an ordained priest, provided they have the permission of a local bishop. The Catholic Encyclopedia, published in 1908, stated on the matter, "Superstition ought not be confounded with religion, however much their history may be interwoven, nor magic." The Roman Catholic Church cites some signs of exorcism to be fluent speaking in a foreign language the victim has no prior experience in, abilities or strength that is seemingly supernatural, an understanding of secret or remote knowledge that the victim, under ordinary circumstances, could have no understanding or awareness of, and an aversion or pain to holy items and blatant blasphemy. In 2018, 250 priests from over 50 countries were invited to the Vatican City in Rome to undergo specific Catholic training on identifying cases of demonic possession. This was a week-long course aiming to rid the stigma of mistreatment linked with the Church performing exorcisms. The week included accounts from priests detailing their own histories with performing exorcisms, and numerous lectures and case studies. Priests from around the world delved into the theological, psychological, and anthropological history to these bizarre, terrifying instances. This course has been made necessary to educate priests on identifying what is considered by the Catholic Church to be a true demonic possession. As with the ever-increasing demand for exorcisms, the call for distinction between the real, the severe, the fake, and the confused is more vital than ever before. American priest Father Thomas explains that out of 180 cases he has witnessed, only 12 required major exorcisms. St. Paul's Episcopal Church. St. Paul's Episcopal Church was built in 1832, when the widowed wife of John Fleming donated the land on which her late husband was buried. The land became the church and cemetery of St. Paul's. The building has stood the test of time, having the first vestry built in 1833 and the Coral Rock Church following shortly after, in 1838. Following this, a series of natural disasters destroyed the church, with the figurative nail in the coffin being the destruction of St. Paul's by a hurricane just a decade after its initial construction. After a prompt rebuilding, the St. Paul's Episcopal Church appeared to stand the test of time, surviving even more events nature threw its way, including the 1886 Great Fire. The beautiful St. Paul's held the first official cemetery Key West saw. The boundless site didn't have a fence, but rather the deceased were buried up to the edges of established homes. This proved to become problematic in the forthcoming years. Key West, the home of St. Paul's Episcopal Church, is a coral rock island, preventing the depth we see today in creating grave sites. Those who passed away were buried in cement caskets, far too close to the surface of the earth. This would soon become an issue as cement dissolves in salt water. The striking of Hurricane Okeechobee resulted in the destruction of hundreds of people's final resting places. In 1928, the storm wreaked havoc, though the recession of water revealed a horror that hadn't been anticipated. The deceased bodies of those who had once been locals on the island were left around the neighborhood, in the trees or along the street, and miscellaneous bones were found along the island too. Those who had passed and fallen victim to Hurricane Okeechobee were respectfully laid to rest once again within St. Paul's, and in keeping with his wife's wishes, the church provides sincere reassurance that John Fleming is buried there to this day, though nobody knows the precise location. Following this strange upheaval, the atmosphere of St. Paul's was forever changed, with many sightings of Fleming's ghost being reported. The assumption has been made that this sudden surge in activity was a result of his grave being disrupted by the hurricane. The description generally makes Fleming's ghost out to be a smoky white vapour, dressed in clothing typical of the 19th century, wandering St. Paul's at night. Fleming apparently isn't alone at St. Paul's, being kept in good company as other ghosts have been sighted, heard, or otherwise perceived. The crying of children has been reportedly heard, which many believe to be the spirits of children who had been buried alive at a nearby Baptist church. Others have seen and even been taunted by the spirit of a 19th century gentleman who had apparently been driven away from Key West by pirates. These tales of possession and hauntings that remain prevalent today remind us that it isn't just Hollywood and history books that see these horrors, but that these claims emerge in modern society. But what do you make of these haunting stories and locations? Be sure to let us know your thoughts in the comment section below and help us by growing this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.